What's happening, traders? Welcome back to another video. Today I got quite a long one for you. This is a back testing session I did on the S&P 500, mainly focusing on the silver bullet strategy in the London and New York kill zones. We also do touch on our Asia range fake out and breakout strategy as well. So I hope you enjoy it. Let's get into it. So jumping onto the charts then, and we're on the S&P 500 here, and what we're going to do is we're going to go back a couple of weeks, probably go back to the beginning of last week, and then we'll work our way through there. We're going to be looking for the Asia range breakout on the 30-minute, okay, fake out breakout or the PAS. If you don't know what that is, you'll probably learn that in this video, but there are other videos on the channel about that. And then the 1 minute silver bullet strategy in the London kill zone and the New York kill zone. London being 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. UK time, and the New York being 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. UK time. So let's go up here and we'll go back so we don't see what's happening on those days. We'll go back to 14th of August. Was that last week? Yes. So we go to the 14th of August, which is right there. I don't really know what happened, to be honest. Like, although I probably did trade the S&P 500 for New York, I don't look at this chart all the time. So what's going to happen is pretty well brand new to me. So without further ado, let's get into it. So the first thing we're going to do is mark out our Asia range. Okay, and I've cut time at 5:30, so we've got 2 more candles until the range has finished and we can start looking for other setups. So we'll see how the first few candles go. Okay, now this box indicates the London kill zone has begun. Alright, so what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to cut back to this point, and then we're going to go down to the 1 minute because this is a 1 minute strategy, and then we're going to fast forward time to 8 o'clock, which is when the box will come in. Okay, so what we're looking for here is a liquidity grab and then a fair value gap, and then we're looking to get a reaction off the first fair value gap after the not necessarily the first, sorry, but a fair value gap after the liquidity grab. Okay. So far, no fair value gaps in the zone. Okay, so now we've had a liquidity grab off the low here. Okay, so you see we had a push down, grab some liquidity. Could have potentially been a liquidity grab off the bottom of here on a different chart as well. But we do have our first fair value gap printed, which is right here. Okay, so what we're looking for now is the next candle to tap into this zone. This would be a buy. Okay, and we'll probably be looking for something that looks a little like this. It's a 1 to 2 risk to reward ratio strat. Okay, so we'll see what we get. Okay, so we've had our tag into the trade. Okay, so we're going to put our paused. My brain just went mad there for a second. We're going to put our trade area here. Okay, stop loss is going to go just below the candle which created the fair value gap, and then we're going to look to see if price can go and take out our TP. Okay, a little bit of a pull down, switch up. Oh, what's going to happen? There we go. Okay, so we did finally get to our first TP there. You can see the price actually came down to create a equal low on this candle, and then we actually came up. So that is a great win there. Okay, so our first win is a 1 to 2. Let's say that in this situation we're going to risk 1%, so we gain 2% on the account there. And I'll put that next to here so we know when we come back to see what the results were, rather than me flipping on to a journal or whatever. Okay, so 2% gained there. If it's minus 1%, then I'll put that there, and then we can come back into the trades and see, add it all up. So now that we've got our 30-minute session done, sorry, our silver bullet session done there, we're going to move on and see if we can find anything else. Okay, so we can find something else. What we're going to do now is we've actually got a fake out. Okay, so we had a breakout, a close above the zone, then we closed back inside the zone, and then we've had this candle which is actually broken out the low, okay, which is a trigger for a sell for me. Okay, so we're going to go for a 1-to-1 here for the moment, and then what we can do is go down to lower time frames and look for a place to put our stop, which is around a 1 to 2. So that's going to be around there. Okay, and then again what we're going to do, risk 1%, to potentially gain 2, and this is actually looking quite promising, although anything could happen because we have got a demand zone here, as you can see, high volume from this point, which price may want to come down and visit before changing direction. So we go back to the 30-minute and see what happens. Had to push down. Don't like the look at that candle because it does look a little bit... Okay, we got... Oh, that's a shame. So that's a real shame there. We got stopped out for 1% there, so we're currently down 1%, although our bias, not our bias, our analysis was correct. We had our stop a little bit too tight there, and that's a shame. Now normally on this trade I would go for a 1-to-1 and then bring my stop down once we come into a lower position, but for back testing purposes we'll just stick to this point, going for a 1-to-2 on this trade. Okay, but you can see there that this did work out in the end, but we were just a little bit unlucky with this lit grab up there. So moving on, we're getting close now to our kill zone for the New York, which is, I believe, is going to be the next candle. So we're going to go down to the lower time frame here. Hopefully we haven't jumped in too much, or we have. I don't want to see. Cut back a bit. Okay. So it went a little bit too far there, but that's okay. Where is our... Oh... Hold on a second, guys. I've deleted the indicator for this somehow, so I'm just going to have to go back in time. I'll be with you in a second. Okay, right. After going back and forth, I managed to get this back. So we're back. We've got it back. I don't know how I deleted it there, but we're back in the game. So what we have is our first 3 candles of the kill zone. So we're going to be looking for exactly what we did last time. I can see that there's a gap here now formed. Okay, that gap has now been taken out, so that is no longer a fair value gap. Really nice price action setup here. Okay, if you've been following the channel for a while, you'll understand what that is. This is a beautiful thing. I'm not going to go through that right now, but beautiful setup there. I will make a video on that one very soon. I said I would for a while. I've just had another one form. Okay. So far, we've got no fair value gaps. Okay, this is not one because we have a candle behind. We did have one here, but then that got filled. We had one here, that got filled. We didn't have one here either because we've got a high meeting the low, or the other way around, sorry, the high meeting the low. So no fair value gaps as of yet. Okay, potentially we've got one forming here. Right, so we do have our first fair value gap, and that is here. So we're just going to have to be patient to see what we get. Haven't necessarily had a liquidity grab yet. Okay, but momentum is high. Okay, we've got another fair value gap now. So if we do tag into this gap, then I'll take the buy from here and probably have our stop below this low because it could potentially come into this gap as well. So we haven't been tagged yet. So the trade will look something a little like this. Pretty big target, to be honest. Just looking to the left, we do have some bits and bobs to go visit. Not a tag yet, because if actually I make this perfectly right, we did literally hit the same low as this, so no trade yet. Okay, so there's our trade. Okay, we are in. We go for our 1-to-2. And not looking too favourable on this one, to be honest. But we followed the rules. And we won. There we go. So that was pretty nice. First fair value gap created was here. Okay, we actually did almost tag into it there. But in this situation, that's why I put my stop below the other gap. Because obviously here we would have got tagged out if we had our stop here. Likely with the spreads and stuff. So... there we go, 1-to-2, another 2%. So currently on the day we're up 3% after that 1% loss with our fake out strategy, which was a shame considering it did work out in our favor. So I'm going to go to the 30-minute now. We're done for the trading day on that day, and we're going to move to the next day. Okay, and that's going to be coming up now. We've got the Asia range starting to print, and once we get to the 630 candle, there we go. I'm going to draw in our highs and lows on the 30. So we've got some references. And we have actually had a breakout of the low now as well. So the next candle is going to be the beginning of the 8 o'clock candle. which is obviously the one we want. So we're going to see what happens here. Bang. Okay. Now, in this situation, this would have been a sell for me because we had a breakout. Okay, price pushed up, broke out the low. I did take this in hindsight, so I'm not going to add this to the total because I want this to be like a simulation where I'm actually trading it rather than seeing what happened. But just for a quick example here, just to show you guys, we had that breakout. Okay, price pushed up, broke out the low of this candle, which triggered us into a sell. If we go down to the lower time frame and find a 1 to 2 point, alright, which is going to be pretty high, but that's alright. It's going to be there. So let's say we just go a bit more than 1 to 2 to cover that high, even though this is the candle here which did the breaking. And usually what I like to do is put the stop above the 5-minute candle which broke it. Okay, we've got two things happening here. We've got that break. We've also got this price action set up again. Okay, but bearish candle, indecision, bullish candle, break out the low, and then big volume came in. So that would have been a great 2% there. But because for the sake of me testing myself as well as showing you guys some information, I'm going to not count that trade. But that would have been awesome. So we are now into our what's it called? The London kill zone. So we're going to go to the lower time frame. Okay, here we go. The next candle will be the beginning. Now, obviously, we know what's happened here because we just had that trade, but we're going to see what we can find and see if it works out. And if we do, then we'll take the trade and test ourselves with stop loss placement, etc. So, no fair value gaps created yet. But we have had a liquidity grab off of this high and these equal highs here. Not a big one, but okay. Interesting. So we got a fair value gap created here. Definitely a liquidity grab off the top of this high, that's for sure. That gap got filled. Still no fair value gap, still no entry for us. Okay, a fair value gap has been created here now. Okay, so bang, bang. This is a liquidity grab here. Obviously, big movement. So I'm going to take this trade because I would in real life for sure. Considering we are at an area of resistance, okay, the Asia low. And we've had a fair value gap created here. This situation, because of the size of this wick, I'd put the stop loss below this candle's low here. We don't have any fair value gaps below. So if we get tagged into this, which is going to look a little something like this. We go up to there. Then we'll take the trade. And we would have got instantly stopped out for a minus 1% there. But the beauty of this is that we can take another trade. Okay, so we're going to put in our minus 1% here. Alright, now obviously I knew that the bias here was going to be down because we already saw that trade for the earlier on the 30-minute. So I knew that this probably wasn't going to work out, but in a live situation, this potentially would have been a trade I would have taken because we've had a liquidity grab off the top here. You can see bullish momentum. We're at a clear area of resistance, so it could have been potentially a great trade. But what we're going to do now is look for our potential for a sell. Okay, now if you've watched the channel before, we've had situations where we've had a losing silver bullet strat, okay, and then we've managed to make back a 1% on top of that because obviously it's a 1 to 2 risk to reward, and we've got in there from there. So we haven't had a tap yet. This is an equal high because the gap actually starts there, and as you can see, it's perfectly on the equal high there. So if we do get tagged in, then we can look for a tagger. So this is actually going to be the next fair value gap just here. So if we get tagged in here, this is likely where we're going to go for the trade. Okay, stop here, probably would be above this fair value gap, and then we go for a 1 to 2 down here, which obviously make us our 1% because we're still risking 1% on this trade. Okay, so we actually got tagged into both situations here. All right, so would I have the stop above the high? Maybe. If we didn't have this fair value gap, certainly I would have it above this high. So let's put it above the high for now and see what happens. See if we needed that or not. We did not. We were playing it too safe. Okay, we had that perfect tap into there. So we went from a minus 1% loss to a 1% gain, because obviously we gained 2% here, and that is stunning. All right, so let's grab that out. 2%, like that. And there we go. So we're up to 1% on the day, even though we had a 1% loss already. So now what we're going to do is just move on. Potentially we could have gained a 2% gain here already without having to mess around in the London zone, because if we did find this trade and I did evented it, I probably wouldn't have even traded the silver bullet, because we've already had the movement. Okay, so we're going to play forward. That is an absolute drop and a half, and we're going to go forward now to the New York session, where we can look for our second silver bullet opportunity of the day, and we're going to take that out. We're going to go for this, and then we'll get rid of this just to get rid of confusion, and see what happens. Okay, so this is a good example here. So I've had situations here where we get this first candle, and this candle has a fair value gap in it. I've taken these in the past and they haven't worked out, and they usually work out less than they do work. So I never take anything off the first fair value gap there. Also, we haven't had any sort of liquidity grab or anything like that. Okay, you can see we just tagged into this area, and this could potentially be the perfect setup for us to take a sell here now, but we're not going to. Oh, I played it. Okay, so that would have actually worked. Okay, if you took a gamble on this one, it would have worked actually beautifully. But instead, what we're going to do is we're going to keep moving and see what we can find. Now, we have no fair value gaps down here. I'm going to get rid of this line, just get rid of confusion. But we do have this huge one here. Okay. Now, are we going to be selling from this point, or are we going to look for... Have we had a liquidity grab anywhere? Right, so we've had a liquidity grab off of this major low. All right. So let's see how price plays out. Fair value gap created. Is that going to stay? No, it gets filled. Okay. So what do I want to do here? Now, the rule would say first fair value gap, take the sell. But we have had major liquidity grab off of this low here. As you can see, a little flick down off of this low. And that's that's Monday's move. So we have had a fair value gap created here. What to do? This is a situation where I would be questioning what to do here. Technically, I'm going to go for the buy, really, because we've had that liquidity grab, and now we're pushing up, creating new highs in this trend. Okay, so we've got this fair value gap created here. Let's see if that lasts. It didn't last. So it might be a no trade day for us here. Okay, I can see that we made the mistake of waiting and going for the buy. Would we have got a trade here? So let's just draw it in. Okay, if we had gone for the sell, which is straight into this fair value gap, stop above maybe, I don't know, let's go above the candle here because it's pretty big, or above this fair value gap here as well. So let's go above just there for 50 pips, 5 pips. Go for a 1-to-1. Sorry, 1-to-2. We are now in a situation where we would have just about tagged into that stop there. Okay, if we had properly got in about there, that would have been it, right? So there we should have just gone with the momentum downwards, and we just didn't get the trade. So I'm not going to count this as a trade because we didn't take it. Okay, we drew this in hindsight. We were going to potentially take a buy, but that gap got filled in. And it is what it is, okay? But now we know that still we had that situation, and we could have taken that. So we'll leave that be, and we'll go back to the 30-minute for a second just to see what price is going to do from here. And actually, we're on to the next day. So that was the New York session. So we only made a 1% on that day, but still 1% gain is a 1% gain. So let's move on. Now, obviously, this is live me video, and this isn't scripted. I haven't gone through any of this yet, so apologies if I'm A little bit all over the place, but this is just me helping myself while helping you guys as well, hopefully. Hopefully finding some value from this. Okay. So, moving on to the next day. We've got our Asia range printed here. Okay, and we have our 7:30 candle. So what we're going to do is just go down to the 1 minute and play through to our 8 o'clock. Okay, this is the 8:01. There it is. We have had a fair value gap made here, but we need to see what happens to that. That gets taken out. Okay, we're having a push up now. This could be a breakout day on the 30 minute. We've got another fair value gap created here, but I'm not going to draw it in yet until we see what happens. That just got taken out. Okay, that fair value gap got taken out. Bit of liquidity grab off of this low here. Oh, did not want to do that. I pressed the wrong button. But what we have got here is our fair value gap. Okay, after a bit of liquidity grab off the top of the highs. So we're going to say that we would have taken this trade here. Okay, stop. Our entry would be here. 1 to 2. Probably go for our stop above these equal highs here. Okay, in this little point. And then we go for a 1 to 2 down here, which would be a breakout to the downside. Now, bullish volume is certainly looking pretty hefty here. But let's see what we get. Ooh, okay, we got roasted on that one. So that's a minus 1% there. Why am I doing that? That is not what we want. Minus 1%. Okay. That's a shame. But it is what it is. Alright, but now we can look for buying, right? We can go for that, looking to gain that 1%, or gain 1% on top of that. So be right back, 2 seconds. I've got a phone call, and then I'll be back with you guys. Not going to change the screen or anything. Okay, sorry, back. I will have to do something. Just been given a task that I need to do in a second, so I'll come back to that in 1 moment. So let's see if we can find a trade here real quick. We've got a fair value gap created here now. This is clearly looking like a breakout for the day. So triggered into the trade, because our trade would be as we took this gap out. Oh, that's the wrong direction. Right about there. Then we go for a stop below. Do we have a big old stop here, or do we just take a bit of a shorter? We put our stop below there. I mean, to be honest, it doesn't really matter because we're risking 1% anyway. We'll get our lot sizes right anyway. So let's go for this crazy silver bullet, just for testing purposes anyway. Right, is that 1 to 2? Nearly. Right. So, triggered in. Bang, 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 bang. Very consolidating. Dun, 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 dun. So let's play. There we go. Boom. Okay, that was nice. We could have definitely just had a shorter stop there and got out the trade quicker, but it ended up working out in our favor, so that's great. So we went from a -1 loss for the day to a 2%, well, 1% gain, but 2% gain on that trade. So that's good. Okay, so 1% day. So now we move on to New York. Then I'm going to have a little break. Well, I'll be back in like seconds, but I have a little break, so I'm just going to make a phone call and stuff, and then we'll continue for the rest of the week. We're currently on Wednesday, so we'll have 2 days to go after that. But let's get to New York coming up. Big moves for New York. Could be news here, but news doesn't tend to really be too much issue because news usually happens around 1:30 or 2:30, and then 3 o'clock news is normally settling down. Okay, so we got our first. I'm going to get rid of this analysis stuff here because otherwise it just gets a little bit confusing. First candle's created a fair value gap. Now you know our feelings on that. So, or my feelings on that at least. So we're going to be patient on this one. We've come into that gap there, but I'm not going to take a trade. So there's a fly buzzing around me. Got another fair value gap. Okay, this is a a supply zone here, -1. Okay. Sorry, I just missed that. We actually got tagged in right here. So we're going to take the trade here. We got tagged in there. We'll go for our stop for 25 pipper here. I'm not going to put it all the way down here on this one. Let's take it up to this point here. Bang. Well, that didn't take long at all, did it? Even if we did have our stop below here, let's see what would have happened, just out of interest. Oh, okay, so we never did make it there. If we had our stop below there, let's see if we ever did make it. No, we could have got stopped out. So we made the right decision there. Happy days. I'm going to go back so we have our original analysis. Oh, God. Right, oh, there we go. Right, so that went to a 1 to 2. And we got smashed out there. So we could have even had our stop below here and been in the trade for even shorter amount of time. But we went for a 25 pip for a 50 pip gain. Still 1%, so we gained another 2% there. So we're now up for 3% on the day, which is great. Okay, so I'm going to be right back, make a phone call and stuff, and then we'll continue with this in a sec. Okay, so I'm back. I may get a phone call again in a second, in which case I'll pause the video again. But we're going to move on to the next day now. So that was a 3% day, which is great. We are definitely in the black at the moment. Not the red. We are definitely up for the week, which is great. Where are we at the moment? 8 o'clock in the evening. So we're going to keep on moving. Interestingly enough, I've been working on another strategy, which I can see has worked twice in this day. Okay, similar to the fake out breakout strategy, but it's really been working quite well recently for me. So, I mean, after this, I might not trade anything but the S&P 500, to be honest. So, the next day, 7:30 candle. Let's go to, sorry, this is the 7:30 candle. We've had a breakout now. Okay, so what we could do here is go for our breakout strategy, but I'm really enjoying to see how the silver bullet works in the London session. So we're going to keep on the London session for this one, because if we do, technically, if the silver bullet works and we go buy, then that other setup would have worked anyway. Okay, so we're not at 8 o'clock yet. Now we are, and now we move. So we've got a fair value gap created here. Okay, this is going in favor of that breakout strategy we were talking about. We've actually had a liquidity grab off this little low here. Not a massive liquidity grab, but we have taken some liquidity. There is liquidity below here. We had a grab, and then prices pushed up quite significantly. So let's see if we get tagged into this trade. Okay, we've got another gap created there. Basically the same thing because there's no wicks. It's basically the same gap, to be honest. So if we do get tagged in, it's going to look a little something like this. Probably stop's going to go below the low here. We go for our 1 to 2, and that will be that. So let's see if we get tagged in. Yes, we did. So we're in the trade. Oh, not stopped out yet. Let's say if we didn't get stopped out yet, we'd be pretty well close to getting stopped out. Okay, and there's a loser there for us. Okay, so that's minus 1%, which is a shame, but it is what it is. Okay, so minus 1% there. Now let's see, let's have a little look at what's happened. Haven't had a liquidity grab off the left here. We've just reacted off of this resistance here. Hit a fair value gap here. Technically this would be a sell, but we're too late to the party because we're already in a trade. So we're going to leave that there. We'll just have a look to see if anything does happen now. Now we've had a liquidity grab off this actual full move and a fair value gap created. We could potentially look for a second entry. No fair value gap now. Very choppy today. Still no fair value gap. Fair value gap, but does that last? Yes, it does. Okay, so what we could be getting now on the 30-minute is a fake out. Okay, you can see you've had that push up. We've actually closed back inside the zone. Let's just make this perfectly even. We just literally maybe by a pixel closed back inside this zone here. Maybe not even. We've probably just closed right on. Yeah, we've just closed right on that top there. Now, being this accurate really does matter, okay, because the markets are accurate. So we'll go back down to the 1. That's the 3. and we'll see what's going on. So let's keep going. Potentially we'll be able to find a silver bullet heading down into the zone. Okay, so we've got a fair value gap there. If we do get triggered in, likely we're going to go for a stop somewhere midway up here, maybe even above this high, but let's see. We do get triggered in. Okay, so we'll take it off the first gap there, we'll put it above this high, and we'll go for a 1 to 2. Oh no! Oh, that's a shame. Okay, so what did we get there? We got 2 losing trades, so we lost 2 trades here in the morning. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to go back a little bit. Okay, we're going to count that as a loss of 1%. A shame, but is what it is. And then we're going to go to the 30-minute and see if we can find the fake out. Okay. Now you can see that this is definitely resisting us right now. Or sorry, supporting us. It's resisted twice. Now it's supporting. But let's see what we get next. Okay, definitely a push up. Continuation for the push up. So no trades here really. There would have been a trade if we took the buy here. Okay, because what our normal trade would look something like this. Okay, go for a 1 to 1. And potentially if we kept the 1 to 1, let's see what happens. We would have got a pretty much a winner there if we did that, but we didn't, so that's fine. But it's just good for me to see that. So really now we're just going to move on. We didn't get a fake out, we actually got resisted and then pushed up. A little bit of a choppy day to start the day here on the Thursday, but we'll go to New York and see if we can make it a break-even day, because obviously we're down 2% for the day now. So let's go back a little bit. Go to 1. Get rid of some of this noise. 3 o'clock begins now. Okay, so we have had a liquidity grab off the top of these highs here now, which is good. We've got a fair value gap. So if that fair value gap stays, which it does not, then we're looking for a fair value gap. We haven't created one yet. Actually, this is a fair value gap here. That's been taken out. Okay. Fair value gap. Okay, so we've had a liquidity grab off of this high, pushed down. We've also potentially had another liquidity grab, or this looks pretty equal highs to me there. We have got a fair value gap. Is that going to stay? Yes, it does. So we'll mark that out. Excuse me. Did we get tagged there? Not quite yet. I would say no. No, you can see, and this is what I'm talking about when markets are accurate. Okay, there's like maybe 5 pixels in there, if that. That is an equal high. So that is not a tag yet. We haven't gone into that fair value gap. Okay, some people may take this trade there, but I'd like to see the tap in. There's the tap in. Okay. So, tap in there. Let's go for above the high. Obviously, we know that price is pushed up a bit there, but that's just because of replay. But in this situation, probably we'd go for above the high because we've got equal highs here. It's likely that price may not want to go above this point, but may want to turn around here. We've had a break of structure, a minor break of structure, but let's see how this plays out. There we go. We did get a winner there. If you had decided to put your stop down above perhaps this candle, okay, the second candle after the zone, that would have been a loser. But because we decided to go above here, because of the equal highs, it's likely that price is now going to potentially turn around and come down. And if it did go above that point, then it would probably liquidity grab and maybe continue. But there you go. Another nice, that's a break-even day. So we're happy with that. And then we'll move on to the 5th and final day, which is Friday. So we'll move on now. This is definitely going to be quite a long video, but hopefully you guys are learning something here. Because this sort of stuff, I love doing this sort of stuff, and I've been a little bit lax on the videos recently. I just need a little bit of a break from sort of social media and the videos, just to focus on a few other bits and bobs, because I was just getting a little bit burnt out. But now we're back and I'm feeling good. So little fake out there. We'll go down to the 1 minute to get ready for the 8 a.m. start of the kill zone. There it is. Okay, we got our little liquidity grab off of this high here. Then a big expanse or displacement, some people like to call it, or leg or whatever. Okay, and in this situation we will take a trade. If we tap in, stop will go above this high, and then we can look for price to fill the Asia range after a liquidity grab off the top. Oh, not the top really. On the 30 minute we had a little out of there. Okay, so let's see what we get, if we get tagged in or not. No. Any other fair value gaps? No, that's equal touch to touch. So no gap there, no gap there, no gap there. Okay, so we're still waiting to see if we get touched in, which we did. And it looks like we could take a loser here. I think almost definitely we're going to take a loser here. I'd be very surprised if this turns around. Yeah, okay. So we'll take that as a loss. Could we take a buy here? Potentially, off of this big fair value gap, but I think I'm just going to leave this session for the day because it's looking pretty lame. And that's interesting in this situation. Potentially, if I'd had my stop above this little liquidity grab here and then push down. So this is what it's all about, learning. You know, potentially in this situation, I could have played it better. Let's see if it would have, and it would have completed there. So definitely in that situation, just because we had the little extra, we should have had our stop above here, because at the end of the day, we're going to match our lot size to be 1%. So whether our stop's up here or stops here, we're still winning or losing 1%, right? So it doesn't matter too much how big the stop is. So in hindsight, we should have taken that, but we're down 1% for this day. Okay, so after a break-even day yesterday, and that first losing trade, that is not the best, but it's okay. I'm interested to see how we end up doing overall for the week. So that is a minus 1%. And we'll now move on for the day. Now, interestingly enough, okay, we did have that first. I'm just looking at price right now. This candle here created a liquidity grab off of these highs and this high, had a push down, broke structure, created a fair value gap, and if you had been a little bit more on point, or maybe didn't take that first one, this could have been beautiful. Look. So there are multiple options for the silver bullet. There's not just always one setup. You know, there is a setup here which, if we had our stop higher enough, we could have played out, and also we had a second setup available for us. Didn't see that, of course, so we won't count it, but it is there, and it's good to know. All right, so we'll move on now to New York. Big breakout, big bearish day today. Coming up to New York go for the next candle, and then we can go down to the 1, see what we get. Right. So no fair value gaps yet. Still no fair value gaps. Still no fair value gaps. Still none. Still none. Still none. Created one. Okay, and we've got a liquidity grab. Okay, this little liquidity grab above here, and also this little bit, probably a pixel above this one as well, but we had a liquidity grab off the top of here, and now this displacement has broken structure. So if we get tagged into this trade, we're going to be looking for short, and we're going to go for here, probably stop at the top of the zone, and then we'll go for a 1 to 2 down here. Okay, but that's if we get tagged in, which we haven't yet, and we've created another fair value gap. So now the entry will be on this one, potentially with our stop above this candle. We're not going to have it above here now because, you know, we could do, but then of course our target's bigger, so we've got to sort of balance that out. Got tagged in. Okay, and there we go. So that's not what we wanted there. Another loss. Price pushed in after displacement, which broke some structure. Unfortunately, didn't break the overall structure, broke minor structure, but there we go. So that is another minus 1%. But we still have the opportunity here, because we got out of the trade pretty early, to look for a trade to make up that loss. And we have a liquidity grab here above of these lows now. Okay, and we have a fair value gap here. So I'm going to move this one to there. If we get tagged in, then we can look for a buy. And that will look something a bit like this. Just draw it in before it happens. Probably go stop there. 1 to 1, 1 to 2, up there. Okay, tagged in. I'm going to let this one play. Boom. There we go. Awesome. So that's how we turn a 1% loss into a 1% gain for the day, by staying patient and waiting for the opportunity to arise. So we're going to go there, and that is a 1% gain. Obviously, we had a 1% loss, 2% gain. Okay, so we got one more session to trade, which is the New York Killzone on the Friday, and then we're done for the week, and this will be done for the video. So let's see how it goes, and then at the end we'll add up all of our oh no, that was the London session. Oh, that was New York session. What am I talking about? So there we go. That's the video. Okay, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to go back. I'm just going to make a note of everything. And then, in fact, let's go through it now. We probably can do that quite easily. Let's go down to a lower time frame so we don't have all these huge candles. And we'll add up to see how we did. So on the first day, we had a minus 1% loss. Was that the first day? No, it wasn't. We were up here, weren't we? No, I'm tripping out. Okay, thought so. So the first day we had a 2% gain here. So we're up 2% currently. We then go down to 1%. Okay, so we are now 1% on the day. We had this beautiful silver bullet on New York session. So we go up 2%. So we're up 3% now. Then we move on to the next day. We go down 1%, so we're at 2%, but we gain another 2%, so we're back up to 3%. We didn't have a trade on this day, although we did miss out an opportunity here. So we're still 3%. Moving on to the next day, we go down by 1%, but then we go back up by 1%. So we are up at 3% again of the week. We then gain 2%, so we're up to 5, which is great. Okay, so we're up 5% on the week. Then we had a break even. Then we lost 2% here. Okay, and then we went to a. Then we had a what? Sorry, I don't know why that says -2. That is actually 2% there. So then we gain 2% again. So then we're up to 5%. Then we lose 1%, lose another percent, gain 1%, 4%, and there we have it. So we're up 4% there on the week. Not the best, okay, but still up 4% on the account in 1 week. Now, if you were trading just this strategy in the London and the New York, you'd be up 4% on your challenge account or whatever. It's not a bad week, right? If you've got a 100 grand account, you know, valuation account which you're funded with, that's 4K in a week. Very nice. Thank you very much. So there you have it, guys. I hope you enjoyed that. Something a little bit different, bit of a back testing. Mostly really just went for the silver bullets there in the London and the New York. It's interesting to see how they react. And we had a couple of mistakes there, but we still found plenty of opportunities to either cover our backs and make us a break-even day or bring us back up into profit. So very happy with that, and hope you enjoyed that. If you did, leave us a like, give us a comment of what you'd like to see next, and yeah, check out all the links below, and I'll see you guys in the next one.